I don't think I'm ever going to officially be done with the personal training kind of coaching realm. To me, it's kind of like going to the barbershop, just catching up with friends, hanging out, lifting weights, just sports, things like that. So I'll always have that as like camaraderie and such. But as I kind of grow, so too does my business.
Yeah.
A lot more emphasis on communication, networking, community building.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Walk to Wealth podcast. If you're tuning in on YouTube or any of the podcast directories, make sure to do yourself one teeny tiny little favor and make sure to give us a follow, because I don't want you to miss out on any of the amazing guests I got coming on this year. Without further ado, I got my second in-person live interview, and today we have a very special guest. He's out on the podcast already 2 times before, first on the 100th episode, and then I actually got to interview him one-on-one virtually. But now, ever since I started doing my in-person interviews, I was like, I got to bring the guy back, Mr. Tracy. He's a legend, someone that I got to meet in the entrepreneurship space. And enough jokes aside, a good friend of mine now. We met over 2 years ago. And if you listen to any of the past episodes, we kind of got into his backstory more for like how we got into business, kind of why. But today we're going to be catching up because a lot has changed since our last interview, both of our last interviews. And wanted you to hop on, fill us in what you got currently working on, and just chop it up and talk some business. Talk about business. This is like being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I got to catch up with my friends nowadays, and they call it a podcast interview.
It's crazy how the world has changed, right?
Yeah. So real quick though, for anyone who hasn't seen either of those 2 episodes, just give us a quick elevator pitch. Who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, Coach Rob. Help out driven individuals kind of break past their burnout stages and get past the stuck.
Yeah.
And start leveling up pretty much through personal development.
Dope. So let's talk a little bit, man. Let me set up a little bit. Let's have a conversation. We're not talking to the camera. Talk to each other now, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I kind of know because you told me a little bit already, but since the last time you hopped on, you were really focusing still primarily on personal training. And even though that's a big focus now, you're going through kind of like a rebrand and repositioning with your business, your target audience, and how you want to help them. So since your last podcast interview to now, what kind of sparked the change? What made the change? And then also, how has the change been going?
Yeah. So, it really just kind of started off, was personal training a lot. I was trying to break away from that. Still kind of carrying a couple clients here and there, sessions per week. And like I told you 100 times, I don't think I'm ever going to officially be done with the personal training kind of coaching realm. To me, it's kind of like going to the barbershop, just catching up with friends, hanging out, lifting weights, just sports, things like that. So I'll always have that as like camaraderie and such. But as I kind of grow, so too does my business.
Yeah.
A lot more emphasis on communication, networking, community building. I lead, getting into leadership, try to lead by example with pretty much everything I do, harping on all my principles constantly, and just kind of like, it's been a long process of identifying who I am and what I want to do with my personal brand, and now turning that into kind of a business, seeing the wheels kind of rolling. I think last time I was on, we were talking about maybe, I don't even know if I was thinking about launching the podcast.
I think you were in the, I don't think you started it. Yeah, I don't think you started it.
Yeah. So
I think side hustle yet. So it's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, and that's coming up on 100 episodes. So that's getting pretty busy. And since then, as we were just kind of joking a minute or 2 ago, influencer contract and putting out some more content, speaking on more stages, just being busy running around. So it's tough.
So to bring it back a little bit, so like I'm curious to see like what was like your mindset when you started pivoting. I know for me, I pivoted a ton, right? I got in as a real estate agent, right? I was working at Sign, I was doing social media for like a little bit, and then I got into AI, and then that's when I really started to double down. But even within AI, like I wanted to create a course, and then I created another course, and then I started a community, and then and so I've been pivoting constantly. And sometimes it's like, oh, better opportunity. And sometimes it's like, damn, I just fumbled and this didn't go as well as I thought. And then it's like, it kind of hurts your ego a little bit because like, there's another thing that didn't work out, another thing that didn't work the way I originally planned. It's like, what was your kind of thought process? What emotions were you feeling? What was going through your head when you were deciding to start pivoting into, more like business coaching?
Yeah. Well, I got to give you credit because I admire how quickly you pivot. You kind of go all in success or failure, or success and not as much of a success. Because it's never really a failure because you learn picking up things.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, though, it's always been kind of a slow because I didn't necessarily know. Now that I'm kind of sitting where I'm at now, I kind of can look back and be like, yeah, this is what I was always doing when I was like a younger kid, high school, college. That's kind of like, this is what I was doing, sharing personal development things, habits, tips, how to optimize, get better. And now spinning it into like the entrepreneurial world with business setting and things like that. And for me, it was a gradual shift and pivot. It took time because I'm like, all right, personal training, strength and conditioning coach, sports performance, nutrition, all these different things. And then I'm like, oh, I still want to hold on to that, but I don't know how to kind of incorporate that into what I'm currently trying to do. And it was a lot of trying to figure out what I needed to be doing and how to get there. And then as soon as it kind of clicked in my head enough where I was like, oh, this is what I want to be doing. This is what I want to be talking about all the time. This is what I can feel like I'm a thought leader, and I'm creating, as you were saying before, frameworks. I don't know if we were on air or not, but like trying to apply frameworks to whatever kind of situation and scenario that I'm in. So now I get excited. I got a new challenge coming out. I'm amped for that. It's going to be super fun to dive in because it's things that I feel is super important to me. And if I'm doing it, turn it into a game, somewhat of a challenge. People want to compete with me, they can try. We'll see how it ends at the end of the day.
No, that's dope, bro. That's dope. I think one thing for me when it came to pivoting, I just get like shiny object syndrome. And so like that's like a reason why. And I was talking, I forget who I was talking to. I talked to a lot of people about it. So one of those people I was talking to in the world somewhere out there about, there's like two pretty much main schools of thought when it comes to like getting something started. It's like ready, fire, aim, and ready, aim, fire. And some people just fire. They're not even ready. They're just going out, shoot from the hip, bro. But some people are just firing, man. But it's like, I know I fall further to the side of ready, fire, aim. And it's great for getting things started. It's great for getting ideas generated. It's great for, projects and getting some progress off the gate. But it's also sucks for organization, sucks for long-term strategy, sucks for long-term consistency. And so it's like, I'm aware that I just so happen to be someone that's very like quick to, try things out. And I say it led to a lot of dope opportunities, but there's a lot of stuff that flopped that you kind of know about already and that I've shared on the podcast as well. Like one of the biggest flops I always say is like my virtual summit. I think I told you about. I had like 12 people sign up for it. Which is like, I mean, it's not awful. That's 12 people. That's 12 lives I could have impacted. But like when I'm used to hundreds of people signing up for my workshops and my challenges and stuff like that,
like a little bit.
Yeah, it stings a little bit. It's like, damn. And I had speakers. So like, bro, if you do the math, it's like everyone averaged one attendee, which made it even worse.
Everyone brought one friend.
Everyone brought one friend. So it's like, bro, it was tough, but I think pivoting it helped me learn a lot. And I think a lot of times too, I also quick to invest in things. And I know you're someone that has invested a lot in coaching and programs. And a lot of times with people who are starting side hustles, right, and trying to get into entrepreneurship, especially at a younger age, it's like people don't really take themselves serious. They don't invest in themselves to grow. So like, what was your thought process because I know you joined Art of Coaching and then you Brand Builders. How long ago did you join them? And like, when it comes to investing in yourself in general, like what's your mental framework that you go through, or your mental thought process you go through to like know like whether or not something is a good investment for you?
Yeah. So those are really great questions. And to be honest, I don't even know if I have the correct answers for those. For me, going back to even what you were talking about, like the different types of people between ready, set, fire, ready, aim, fire, aim, ready, whatever it is.
We're just firing everywhere, bro.
Yeah. Like I find myself it's very situational. So different things. Like I've gone through a lot of different coaching programs with different coaches and mentors because I thought they were the right fit for me. And they might not have been at the right time. Maybe they're a little bit better fit now, maybe even worse. I don't know. But I just try to do as much like reflection on myself and understanding like what it is that I want to do, where I'm trying to go. Because that helps me then decide like, okay, is this a right fit or not? So like currently I got a couple of new projects that I'm thinking about diving into. It's going to be another big investment. I'm trying to figure out if that's the right move just yet or not. So there's a couple of things that I'm just weighing in, like 1, finances, 2, like how much time am I getting back? 3, like what does it help me do actually? So a lot of basic things like that. And then to the question about like the different organizations that I've kind of been developed or worked with is like Art of Coaching. I can't speak any higher of it. It's so great because that's the groundwork for me to hold myself accountable, to prove that I'm still getting better at what I'm doing. I'm not an expert. I try to just continue to learn as much as I can and share what I'm learning with those who could potentially benefit from it. With them, I had to go through the workshops. I had to apply for different facilitator programs. You have to take an exam. You have to do all these other things to kind of get through it. You have to showcase through live in situations and stuff. So that was pretty tough to go through. And I was pretty honored to get through it on the other side and become a facilitator and now be able to help coach and run, facilitate workshops and such. Brand Builders Group, that was just so much helpful because that laid out like a step-by-step process for me, helping me figure out what it is I want to do. Took a while to kind of narrow it down, but it's so much, brings so much clarity to what I'm trying to do and has a blueprint. So it makes it easier for me to follow and continue.
Yeah. I think one of the things, my mentor that, I don't know if I told you, I think I might've told you or mentioned it, but I'm in a paid business mastermind. And so the guy, I meet with him every Friday, and one of the things he was talking about is like a lot of times, like when it comes to our business, when it comes to our lives, it's more like a sculpture than anything. It's not about adding stuff. But sculpture, it's chiseling things off and making sure you take the right amount off so that you can create this perfect statue. And a lot of times we kind of like overcomplicate things, or we add too many things to our plate. So like you mentioned clarity. So I think a lot of clarity is just like removing other options. And so it's like, but when everything sounds like a good idea, because you know yourself, you know you're hardworking, you know you put the time and energy to it, and you know that you're capable and competent, and you know you could accomplish a lot in a lot of different fields. So like for you, like how did you like, because it stings a little bit. It's like, damn, I can't do that right now. Right. But it still stings a little bit because stuff that you get kind of excited for. So it's like, you know, how do you kind of navigate, like, what do I need to do now and prioritize, like what's important for me at this stage? Because I think that's one of my biggest problems is being so like ready to jump into new projects. It's that everything sounds like a good opportunity when you put enough time behind it, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, I got a lot of time, right? It's just like, I found myself, you know, stuck. I found myself lost. I found myself overwhelmed sometimes as well. Just because like I was trying to do too many things at the right time, and instead of trying to get real clear as to what is the one thing that I want to do and like really double down on that. So like, what was kind of like your thought process, or what were you going through as like you were going through those programs and figuring out like, all right, it's not this, it's not this, it's not that, maybe this, but like how was that journey like?
Yeah, that was just straight trial and error kind of going into it. And it is exactly like you were saying, like chiseling away at different things, because starting off background in strength and conditioning and then just kind of working my way through, I knew I wanted to be active and fit and doing things. That transitioned easily from playing sports, wanting to be like a professional athlete like most people, and then shifting over into, okay, well, I can be in the weight room with a lot of athletes and help them work towards a common goal. And that's started to bleed into, okay, well, now I can help other people with other goals of like eating better, losing weight, feeling better instead of just for the championship football and stuff like that, sports. And that kind of bled, and it was just a lot of just moving closer and closer and closer. Yeah. And I enjoy speaking. It's fun. I get to connect with a lot of people. I love connecting with people. Yeah. And it was just like a process of elimination until I got to where I'm at currently. And dude, I don't even know if this is what I'm going to be doing forever. I'm just riding the wave, having fun while I'm doing it, and just trying to piece things together. Like the new thing now I'm going to try doing is bringing more people together for different challenges and stuff like that. And really now I got to make a more stronger push to the online world. Yeah. So not as much in person, stuck just traveling around, running around in circles kind of thing.
Yeah. Welcome to my world. Yeah. Digital entrepreneurships, webinars, workshops, challenges. Now, you mentioned a couple of things I want to touch on. Now, good. One thing you said about pretty much, it just slipped my mind. I had a really good point. we were talking about having fun. There we go. And enjoying the process throughout. I think a lot of times, and I jokingly said when we first started the podcast, I'm just catching up with my friend, right? This is just an excuse to catch up with good old Mr. Tracy.
Yeah.
But, bro, one thing I respect about you a lot, and it may not seem like a big thing, but it's like we could go out, grab drinks, and like chop it up and not talk about business the entire night, bro. And like, but then have a conversation like this and talk strategies. We could talk podcasting. We could talk launch strategy. We could talk email marketing sequence, whatever you want to talk about. But it's like, how are you able to turn things off? Because I've heard your keynote speeches, so I know the story with your dad and everything, and how you used to be super overworked and like just doing super long days every single day nonstop. But it's like, I think it's very easy to get into entrepreneurship and just like, this is everything that you think about all the time, especially when you're trying to get it off the ground. It can be very easy to like just get yourself, like really almost kind of like fully engulfed in entrepreneur, and that becomes like your whole identity, your whole personality. And sometimes it's a good thing because sometimes you just gotta get it off the ground and you have to go all in. But then when that becomes your entire personality, sometimes it can get a little annoying, and there's people that you kind of want to you avoid sometimes because it's like, all right, I'm not trying to talk conversion right now. Like, I'm just trying to chill. It's like, how are you able to like balance like growing, invest in yourself, doing all this business stuff, but then also like just being a cool dude to just chop it up with and talk to as well?
I think it's really just, I feel like I'm constantly harping on it now. I don't know if maybe it's cooler to say it now, but I feel like I'm always talking about awareness, just being more aware, being situational, being in the moment, because it kind of changes a lot of things. So like, I understand going into certain situations or environments that I need to be more professional or switch or however I'm kind of showing up. And then I think just being a personal trainer for so long, I'm constantly thinking like, okay, as this session is kind of ending, I know I got Mr. Mendez coming in, so I got to make sure the towels are pressed, the water is fresh, the lime, the cucumber. And like, so then I started thinking that. So then I know, okay, I know that Mr. Mendez is going to want to do this, and that. So then I switch and I kind of prepare for that. And being able to kind of think of the other person, the other situation helps, because I know at the end of the day, if my girlfriend is busy and she has like a tough work day or something, I know, okay, let me take into consideration. I know she's going to be wanting to vent on some things. So let me shift it, change the hat, show up differently. Because we wear different hats all the time. And it's just about like kind of putting one on, taking one off and switching it around. And I think that really helps a lot with being able to show up in different situations and then knowing yourself, because then you can bring yourself to those different extremes. Like, I wish we could get into more improv and things where we can like pull people through different emotional extremes, because I think you don't really know your bounds or your limits until you kind of push to each side. So like, getting on stage and doing your thing, you can be yourself, but like, can you bring it down and like, can you get like a lot more serious if you got to talk about like serious things? That's my attention. But like, and then that carries over into like real life things. So like networking, you don't want to be slumpy and tired. Like, you got to bring a little bit of energy. You got to be positive. You got to be open to connecting with people. And then other situations, like, you got to be calmer and quieter. You got to be open to absorbing information. If I'm listening to you on stage or something like that, I can't just be the highlight also. So like, you got to wear different hats and you got to know your limits and boundaries.
So I think people don't understand like how good improv is. So like, when you decided to take up your professional acting career, what this made you go down that path? Like, how has that helped you in your public speaking journey?
Oh man, so
because I know I used to actually do monologue. I don't know if you know.
No,
I'm so serious, bro. It started off, I was in church, and my pastors, they had a whole bunch of like youth activities, and one of them was monologue, and that's when I realized I had a really good memory. And so I would read the script. It usually be like a page and a half, 2 pages long, and then I would just go line by line, and I picked up remembering the script pretty good. I actually got 2 trophies at my house for first place. And so the way my church is set up is, these are my 2 trophies. Because this is also my house with my paintings that I had imported from Europe.
Yeah.
But with the
Imported the artist, right? So he came here and painted for you.
Yeah, you should have seen it. I imported him and I imported his canvas, and the platform that he was sitting on to paint the painting was also imported. So yeah, it's a whole big ordeal. They had to go in through the back, through the garage, just because like he wouldn't fit through the front door. It's a pretty big artist. Yeah.
Sick, dude.
But anyways, long story short, I did monologue, and that's when I learned I had good memory. And I wish I would have taken that a little bit more seriously, because now that I'm actually in public speaking, acting, knowing what to say, it's super important. Because a lot of times people, we just came back from a speaking workshop not too long ago, and like a lot of people, it's only 5 minutes, and they just at some points couldn't speak, just couldn't find the words. And a lot of you said improv, just like going with the flow, going with not forcing anything, and just being present as to what the situation's called for, and being able to put on whatever hat you need at the snap of a finger. It's like super helpful. Like, I'll go up on stage, and you see my presentation. For anyone that's listening, I gave a presentation on how I became Mr. Mendez and gained Marriott Platinum status. And I did it jokingly, even though I was actually giving value in that presentation. Like, I did it jokingly to show people, like, bro, I created the slides in the morning because I asked Rob, I was like, yo, should I do a new presentation? Then I went to go play in a flag football tournament, pretty much, then came back, didn't rehearse the presentation at all, and just did it. And I definitely wasn't in the top presentation, but I was usually like top 5 out of like the 15 people there. And I never even looked at those slides ever in my life before. And so it's like, when people understand like the framework you get, you can pretty much just go off on anything and still sound good, still make it look good. So like, on a serious note, improv has helped up a lot. So like on your case, like how has improv helped you with like your speaking, and how has communication as a whole helped you out? Because a lot of people are sleeping on it. People think that just because you talk every day means that that doesn't count as reps, right? Like becoming a skilled communicator, becoming a good public speaker, becoming a good presenter, it's a whole different art form, a whole different science. Yeah. And like people just sleep on it entirely. So like, as it took, get it back a little more serious, how improv helped out with your speaking, and how's speaking and communicating helped out with your overall life, your business, your personal life, everything?
Yeah. Well, I don't even remember exactly where it dawned on me how important speaking and communicating actually is. But one of my mentors and the founder of Art of Coaching, he almost lost his life due to miscommunication. Mm-hmm. And so he's got a crazy story, and I would recommend anybody checking him out anytime. But he really drove home to me that miscommunication is the baseline. So whenever you're going into a conversation or an argument or a conflict or whatever, mm-hmm. you have to assume that there's going to be miscommunication one way or another. Mm-hmm. And then that really helped me kind of internalize and then know that, like, okay, I need to be good at what I'm trying to portray. Like whatever message I'm trying to deliver, I need to be clear and I need to think about it. So like, okay, what is Mr. Mendez? How is he going to think of how this session is going to go? How does he think the conversation is going to be? And that just takes that whole awareness thing to another level. And then if you have a business, if you have anything that you're trying to ever sell, do, build, you need to be able to deliver your message to somebody. Otherwise, no one's going to know about you. Whatever Grant Cardone, I think, is, if they don't know you, they can't flow you. Mm-hmm. So like you have to be able to talk about your message.
That's a B Doggy Dog #1 quote right there.
Yeah. He's always saying that. And then, well, I don't remember what the first question. I think I had that one.
It was how improv being important, and then how has communication helped with your business and everything.
Yeah, improv I think is great because it helps you with the communication thing, because then you can kind of think on your feet. You can in a safe environment. That's what I think is the best about the improv is because it allows individuals to kind of push their comfort zone. Yeah. And public speaking is the #1 fear. Yeah. And I think spiders is like 5, and I think like dying is 7. So like more people are afraid of embarrassing themselves in front of people than they are of dying of spiders. So like that's the easiest way to push your comfort zone, and the wider range your comfort zone is, the more you're able to handle, especially in entrepreneurship or business owners. Like you need to be able to handle a lot of different things, and you don't know what's coming at you when. So if you're going to lose it off of any little misstep, then like you're not going to last very long in this industry.
Yeah.
But the more that you can handle those things, the better you're able to adapt and move and change and continue to grow. So your business continues to grow. And improv is the safest, easiest place to do it because you can stretch those limits. You can play different characters. You can try out different emotions and things like that. And it really forces you to kind of think quickly.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to be right or wrong. You just got to think and do something. So the worst thing is just not do anything.
No, 100%. I think what you were saying is like being able to handle more. It reminded me of a quote. I had a couple quotes, but the first one, better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener at war.
Yeah.
Right? It's better to be able to, because in most cases, you're not going to be super energetic or sometimes like overly sad. I mean, you might be super energetic, but like overly sad, especially if you're speaking, you're not going to go, in most cases, to the extreme. But like stretching yourself to that extreme makes being, let's say, a 7 a lot more easy because you know you can get to 10.
Yeah.
But if you're like 7 is your cap and you're going to be a 7, that's pretty much all you got. Yeah. Right. And so it's like, as you said, the more you're able to handle, the better you're going to be at business in general because you're going to be able to handle more. And you don't know what's coming a lot of times. And you have to be able to think on your feet. And speaking about being able to handle more, to pivot a little bit, you mentioned now that you're going to start getting into the online world, the digital world, the challenges, the workshops, the webinars, things like that. So it's like, that's a whole nother set of skills, right? A whole nother set of, big problems and complicated stuff. Now you got to worry about opt-in rates and conversion rates and all this stuff. And so it's like, what are you most excited for like this kind of like transition a little bit in your business from mainly in person to start now incorporating a lot of like virtual stuff? And so, and what are some things that you're probably like, man, I don't know what the F I'm doing with this stuff. And like, I got to figure it out fast.
Yeah. Well, so it's weird because starting the online thing, like, dude, my business when I first started in 2017 was only online. So like, I've pretty much only ever been online, but then once the pandemic kind of hit, that kind of started building up. And then there were people who were locally trying to do things. And then business kind of changed. So it's interesting because I started there and was learning and trying to grow and do things. And then I kind of shifted back. And now it's like, okay, now I got to put more focus back into that. But I'm excited because for the longest time, I was just stuck in that situation where I was just absorbing so much content from all the coaching programs, books, podcasts, all that stuff. And then it dawned on me, I'm like, oh, I got to start actually doing things now. And then I started to with the whole public speaking and a couple other things. And now that's kind of one of the projects that I was hinting towards earlier is how I'm going to kind of ramp up my production of everything that I'm doing. It's like the podcast was an easy stepping stone for me to start to create some content and produce some things. Now I've got a bunch of other projects that are in the works. And dude, I got like 800 projects. Like I started using ClickUp. I think I told you about. Dude, until I actually laid everything out, it was just always in my head. And now I can actually see all the different things. And that's another thing for the prioritization, understanding like, okay, my dietary supplements, that was one of the first things. That was half of my business when I first started. Yeah. And that's just been sitting on the back burner for a while now. Just not really doing anything. Sales come in as they come in. But like that's something else that I've always wanted to kind of get back into. But that just constantly falls on that list of priority because somebody told me somewhere along the line is you got to make the money moves first. So that's not necessarily going to bring in a lot as much as coaching and paid speaking and all these other like things. So I don't know if I danced around your question at all, but.
No, not really. It's exciting because, I mean, see, I was there to kind of see like the podcast kind of happen and launch and go live. And then now watching your content and stuff like that and watching the videos you put out and stuff. And it's just like, and now you're Mr. Tracy here is a certified social media influencer now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, certified, right? There's a lot of social media influencers and gurus. But a lot of these people don't get paid to make content. This guy gets paid to make content. He's officially
Mr. Mendez certified.
He's Mr. Mendez certified. He passed the check. And so now that you're kind of getting, it's kind of weird. Like I didn't know that you started off virtual. You kind of did the opposite. A lot of people in the pandemic went virtual. You were virtual and then went in person, and now you're coming back to virtual. And so like now that you started creating content, really quick, I want you to touch on what is your podcast? I don't know if we mentioned it last time. As I said, I don't think it was out. You might have dropped the a little thing of something you're working on in the future, but like now this is officially out. Like, what is it? Where can people check it out really quick? And just like, what was what's the story with the podcast? I think that is a dope message.
Yeah. So the podcast is Surviving the Side Hustle. You can just go straight to that website too, survivingsidehustle.com, to check it out. And yeah, it's an opportunity for me to really connect and collaborate with other entrepreneurs, different stages of their journey. Really opportunity to highlight them, their story, struggles, and secrets to perform at a high level.
I got an idea, because you want to do a lot more business coaching, right?
Well, it's personal development kind of coaching, lifestyle coaching.
Okay. The podcast could low-key be like an acquisition channel.
Yeah.
Low-key, like, because you're getting people, the whole thing is surviving the side hustle, right? And there's some people who have already survived and have their business as their actual main thing. And like those people, they can still probably use your services and help. But then there's going to be some people that you talk to who are kind of like still trying to get the clarity around. Bro, I think that could actually be low-key an acquisition channel into your personal years, like your personal development / life coaching, bro.
Yeah, and like that was one of the reasons why I started it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, we're right here. Yeah, it just took me forever. It just took me 100 episodes to realize, right?
Yeah. But no, it's also like as that platform continues to grow, I want other people who are starting off in their businesses who do have things, because I mean, yeah, people who are kind of moving and grooving and are making moves in their business and stuff, they could certainly benefit from what I can offer in my coaching. But really, I work with those people who are like burnt out. They're kind of stuck. They feel like they've been doing a lot of shit or stuff.
No worries.
They haven't, they're not making any progress. So it's like there's usually one of the 6 principles that I'm always talking about is usually something in there, whether it's like social, it's communication. They're not stretching a comfort zone. They're not intentional with what they're consuming, content-wise, food-wise, whatever it might be. And something along there kind of helps them level up and unlock the next thing.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I have these guys they've got a bunch of side hustles and stuff. I should just do like a career coaching, because like 3 of my clients just got new jobs and they're leveling up, and now they're bringing in more money than they were before, so that they can feed into their side projects to then eventually build those side projects into their full-time things. It's crazy stuff that's going on around the world.
Yeah, I think it's like one thing opens up another can of worms, and it's like, there's another opportunity here. But when I was talking to this one lady, she just joined my mastermind, bro, and it's like, I was talking to her. I went to a speaking engagement up in Trumbull for the Monroe Chamber of Commerce, and bro, she became like an instant raving fan. And she was like, so I'm going to go out for lunch with her next Friday. And she was like, yeah, John, like people need you, like HR and stuff like that. And it's like, HR, that's the last thing I talk about AI, and it's usually like, as you know, it's like social media strategies using AI and stuff like that for business owners. But like, never would I thought about giving an AI presentation for like HR. And I think that's like about me speaking at Chase.
No.
Oh yeah, so I spoke at Chase in Manhattan, right? It's like, I think it's either the like Manhattan headquarters or like one of the ones. They're doing like a regional Manhattan event. And I think they talk on AI for resume building. Bro, I ain't never used my resume in my life, like ever. And now I'm teaching people how to leverage ChatGPT. That was once. But I actually got to circle back to see if I got to get vetted. I got to get in the Chase system. So I could be Mr. Mendez at Marriott and Chase, because Chase is partnered with Marriott. So if I'm Mr. Mendez at both, then I become Senor Mendez. Get a little upgrade. But I said, doing one thing opens up another can of worms. It's like, bro, there's a whole like, I could just go speak in corporate freaking offices, share like how their employees can start leveraging AI to become more productive in the workforce. Bro, that's a freaking easy $500,000 right there, consulting right there. And that's like, I would have never thought, but it's like, you kind of just, you don't know what you don't know. And then it's like opportunities start presenting yourself, and it's like, oh, let me see what this is about. And as long as it makes sense and aligns, like, I'm not going to completely abandon ship and go all into that. But like, it back to the point, it's just like, there's a lot of like stuff going on in life, right? Yeah. And it's like, you just become more aware, and it's like, oh.
Just got to open your eyes and kind of be open to looking around to see. There's plenty of problems that need to be solved, and figuring out what you're doing, what you're good at, you can usually fit it in. And if it's not a right fit, then you just kind of slide on to the next thing.
Yeah, so to move forward a little bit, so by the time this comes out, right, your challenge are already going to be over, but I'm sure you're probably going to do it again. But like, for anyone, I do a lot of challenges myself, and it takes up a lot of bandwidth, a lot of energy. So like, but it's also a great way to like, especially if you're running a business online, like to start getting some momentum, start getting some traction, start getting, people indoctrinated right into like your methodology, into your sphere, or your world, or whatever it may be, and then convert them into clients. And then why a challenge? What made you want to do that approach versus a webinar or like a course, a live cohort, something like that? Like why a challenge?
The challenge, yeah, because so this particular challenge is all about like communication and relationship fostering and development. And it came back to just me paying attention, being like, oh man, I haven't talked to so-and-so in a while. I should reach out. And then I'm like, I always mean to touch base with this person. And I noticed that I've been doing a pretty poor job with it. So I've made a commitment. I'm like, all right, I'm going to start reaching out, touching base, having calls, like having coffee, whatever. And I'm like, damn, this is important. Like a lot of people need to be doing this because you always say you're going to, and then you never really get around to it. Especially when it comes to your friends, because they give you a little more leeway with checking in because they are close with you.
Yeah.
But it's important to do that. Like us catching up right now, it's important because then it helps build. When things you've got going on, I can help it grow, and vice versa. So then I was like, you know what? I'm going to turn it into a game for myself, create points, and then I can keep track on my scoreboard and see how I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'll open up to the public. If anybody else wants to go against me and connections and building relationships, and why not? And then got a couple of people signed up so far, and we're gonna try to compete by conversations and coffee meetings and sit downs and dinners and things like that. And then I've been crushing this book. I'm actually about to finish it for the third time in like the past like 2 months. By John Maxwell. Everyone communicates, but few connect. And so I'm going to share my insights from what I've been learning in the book and kind of go through that as like, hey, take some of this information and implement this with your connections.
Yeah. Nah, I think I want to touch on that right there. I think that's a lot of things where it's like in personal development, it's very easy for people to release books nowadays. Everyone has a book. Everyone's best-selling out there. It's like #1 movie in America.
Yeah.
And it's just like, a lot of these books are rushed. A lot of these books have like good stuff, but it's nothing novel, nothing profound, nothing like game changer, groundbreaking, whatever. It's like I started off reading and I was like going crazy, and then I was like, bro, what am I reading all these books for? Like, and then I started like studying books, and it was a very different approach. Like one, I'm just trying to read, and whatever I grab. But like back to you said you read the book 3 times the past 2 months. The Expert Secret books, I always talk about that book. I read that book God knows how many times. I bought the upsells for it. I watched the videos for the training. Like I studied. So it's like that perfect webinar framework. I can't do it in my sleep yet, but borderline close. And so it's like that is just so engraved in my head. And like the way they tell stories, the Epiphany Bridge, right? Backstory, journey, new opportunity, framework, transformation, achievement. Right? Like that's just ingrained in my head because I read the book so many times and gone through all the trainings. It's very easy to just like go and kind of just be like, almost like an information masturbation type of thing. And you just read every book and, you don't really remember or grasp anything. But as I said, sometimes you have to reread. So like, why that book? And then 2, what's the benefits that you gain from like rereading?
It's really just because then you can go over it a little bit more. So having audiobook is the best because that makes it easy for me to kind of get introduced to it when I'm driving or if I'm doing something. And then if I like it, then I'll listen to it again. And then if I like it, I'll buy the hard copy so then I can actually look through it and skim it and then you just kind of keep going and taking bits and pieces. And then the best way to make sure to confirm that you're learning the stuff is to teach it. So that made it easy. I'm like, hey, I got this book. I think it's great. There's some good information in here. Why not share it with everybody else? Yeah. I'm challenging myself with this. So basically, to be honest, it's a selfish me getting better for myself. But I was like, hey, if anybody else wants to get better at the same time, come join me.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. I think a lot of people don't understand, like anything could be turned into like a business thing. Like my birthday thing is really just an excuse to go grab drinks outside the whale. Yeah. But I call it a networking mixer anyways. And people show up and we grab drinks.
Yeah. Well, like, you actually scared some people off from that.
I did? How?
Yeah, well, because Victoria, as soon as she saw networking, she's like, "Nah, I'm not going." So she's
really?
like, "Oh, business? No." I was like, "No, you don't understand.
A birthday
It's
party.
basically a party. There's a DJ and everything going on."
Bro, yeah, I got so many things that I got planned for next year with like an events, bro. Like this upcoming event. So by the time to come out, I'm doing an AI workshop. This upcoming event is the last one for at least for this year. I'm gonna let you know after I got something else that I want to do. But aside from that, next year I want to take events serious. I feel like I fell off the wagon a little bit with the events this year. Our summer kickoff events took up so much bandwidth, and then for my birthday, I kind of like fell off a little bit. Even this one, like I marketed it, but like it's not gonna be as many people as there were last year. It kind of sucks. But then also it's like getting people to come back to events is it's a difficult thing. Like it's hard. Like getting people when you're first starting events to come and it's like, oh, I'll show up, I'll see what it's about. Then getting them to keep on coming back. And so like also too, what I learned is like I kind of screw myself over because like I'll throw one event and then it'll go great and then like go ghost and then it's like, hey, I'm back with another event instead of carrying one event from into the next event.
Yeah.
So one thing, like I already have like a tentative date in mind for all 4 of my next events next year. Right? I'm gonna do one a quarter. So one in March, one in June, the summer kickoff. The March is gonna be a 300 podcast episode special. June's summer kickoff. Then August is gonna be my birthday. And then November or late October, I'm gonna do the AI potential conference, potential workout. We'll see how. I've been playing around with ChatGPT, and so I think this AI summit might be the next like real big project. But I'm helping Brandon, as you know, with A2PCon. Yeah. So just kind of seeing the behind the scenes of it. So I've helped him create his landing page recently. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
When you get a chance, check it out. I think I made it pretty nice, you know?
I think I actually did check it out for a second because I think Brandon posted it on something. So then I clicked it because am I on it? I think I might be on it somewhere.
Yeah, you are. Because you're a speaker. Yeah. You're a speaker.
Gotta scroll down to see
Mr.
myself.
Tracy.
Yeah.
Mr. Tracy. Next year I'm really going to go all out for these events. Especially because like now I have someone to like help. So it's like, I mean, she always did help, Emily. Yeah. But like, right, so it's been tough just because like I've been focusing on like my business more so than the actual event side of thing. And like events itself could be its own business. There's a lot of moving pieces. And so it's been tough, but.
Well, I think it's that transition stage too, because like you were saying in the beginning, it's easy to get everybody to come because then it's like, okay, I'm going to go to this to support John. Yeah. Now you're in the stage of like, oh, I'm going to go to this so I can get the value from it. Yeah. So some people, you're kind of weeding out the people who not necessarily for. So
yeah, no, 100%. That's a great way to look at it too. That's a great way to look at it. Bro, as we kind of like start wrapping up, man, where can we catch up with you? Where can we find you? Where can we connect with you? Where can we find the podcast? That wasn't out last time we hopped on and chopped it up. So like, where can we find all things Mr. Tracy?
Yeah. So podcast, anything podcast, you could just go to survivingsidehustle.com or just look it up on any of the platforms. It's on Spotify, Apple, everything else there. Website, it's just my name, robtrazy.com. Same thing with social media, just at Rob Tracz on pretty much everything. LinkedIn, Instagram. Instagram's where I usually hang out. And then just anywhere, MrMendez.com.
MrMendez.com, all right. So I already asked you my famous 5 questions when you hopped on last time, so I'm not going to sit here and repeat it again. But I want to ask you this question that only you can answer. You're the only person qualified on this earth to answer this one question right here.
Okay.
No one else can answer it the way you can.
Okay.
Because you're uniquely you.
Thank you.
So from someone who's experienced the Mr. Mendez treatment firsthand, what is the most impactful memory from all of your travels with Mr. Mendez?
Positive or negative?
There's negative ones? Jeez.
No, it's just that one time you gave me that drink coupon. You're like, oh yeah, use this Mr. Mendez card and get a drink. I go up to like, there's no drinks on this. And I was like, what? But no, so one of the best ones is, I mean, I don't know if you've shared this on anything, but we went downstairs because the key cards are always getting like whatever it is, one of the magnets or whatever, credit card, whatever. The key card didn't work. So you had to go downstairs.
First, you got to tell them where we were at. Which hotel was that?
Marriott.
All right, and it was also located in the richest part of Miami.
Do you get points when you mention them on your podcast?
Nah, no. I need to get a sponsorship. Marriott, holla at me, man. I need to become a certified influencer like Mr. Tracy over here. But yeah.
So had to go downstairs, and I don't know if it was like midday or something like that.
Yeah.
Just kind of going down, just kind of like dressed pretty casual. Went down to the front desk, and the guy sitting there midday, he's probably like just coming off of like a food coma from lunch. He's moving pretty slow. He sees us kind of coming over. He probably thinks I'm your grandpa, this old dude, and you're hanging over there. Young looking dude, just kind of chilled out. He comes over, he's scanning. He's like, "Oh, what do you need?" You're like, "Oh, I need a new key card." He's like, "Okay, what's your name? Can you have your ID?" And you're like, "Oh, yep." And then as soon as he puts in your name, you see him straighten up immediately, fixes his tie. He's like, "Mr. Mendez, I just want to remind you that we are eternally grateful for your time with us here at Marriott. Is there anything that I can get with you while I renew all your cards for you? Would you like some drinks? Would you like some food? A massage, perhaps? Do you need us to fluff your towels and miss your turn down service?" And I was just sitting over to the side because I was like talking with somebody else, and I was just like, "Is this guy serious?" Like that was like a full 180. This guy just flipped into like tighten up, like clean up, in full respect to you. And I was just like, wow, that's what Mr. Mendez is like.
Yeah, it's so funny because it's partially true, partially a little exaggerated. But yeah, I didn't know that from the out. Like when I look back at it, I don't remember it being that bad. Like I don't remember him being like that sluggish. But like I said, like I also wasn't really paying much attention either myself. I forget I was just getting my keys, so I was really too hard pressed about it. But
yeah,
I mean, bro, that's hearing the story is always funny, man. Because like,
but it's such a simple thing. Like you just go down, ask them to remagnetize it or whatever, and then they usually just do it. But he was just a way of that, and then just the performance on trying to keep himself together because of Mr. Mendez. So.
Yeah, that's a lot of good time. Me and Rob has a lot of good memories, man. Mr. Mendez experience. For anyone that doesn't know the inside joke, it's
that's another one too.
I'm actually about to interview him next.
Oh,
it's
nice.
coming in like 15 minutes.
Sweet.
But all jokes aside, Mr. Mendez, it's all about the experience. The moral behind all the BS, right? All the funny jokes is in life, people treat you differently based on your status, right? And it sucks, but it's also play the game, right? Because I played the game and now I have high status. And so, like, I'll come in with, like, pajamas and, like, a ripped shirt or whatever, and it's like, my shirt wouldn't be ripped, but, like, I'll come in, like, off of a plane and just go straight to my, the hotel, and it's like, I always travel comfortably. And there's some people who travel business casual, some people that travel business professional, I don't know how. I'm traveling, like, bedtime casual, like, pajamas, white beater, freaking hoodie, sometimes a bonnet on, like I have no care, Crocs, right now, walk into the hotel, and it's so funny because then you're here like, it's like you're going through the emotions, whatever, and then it's like, "Oh, Mr. Mendez, thank you so much. Like, would you like me to upgrade you to the premium exotic top tier suite and get free breakfast and a complimentary butler too for your not only your entire stay, but the way back to your airport in a private jet as well?"
What time should we have the car service come up?
Oh my goodness. Now that I'm about to be titanium, I'm 4 nights away. Who knows? I might get the even more premium services. So yeah, long story short, check out my series on credit cards I talked about not too long ago, where I went through all the credit cards I got, why I got them, how I got them, how I hit the welcome bonuses, which is the most important part, because if you're not getting welcome bonuses, you're probably losing out on hundreds of thousands of points. And Mr. Tracy, Coach Rob, sorry, my apologies. I beg your pardon. Any final words, any last piece of advice you got for anyone listening that can help them out with life, business, their walk to wealth, whatever it may be?
Yeah, I think just what I'll just leave everybody with is just pay attention to what works for you. Everyone's individualized and you've got your own things and whatever you're working on. And just pay attention to what works, what gives you joy, what is bringing success, and just replicate that until it's perfectly aligned with everything you've got going on. So just pay attention to what works for you.